Welcome back to Story Mode. We're at the end of 1988. So 10 years prior, I have been playing video games. From Space Invaders to the Atari 2600, the SEGA Master System, the Commodore 64 and the Commodore Amiga. Clearly my favourite companies are Capcom and SEGA. So what happens next? I fall in love with my all-time favourite console, the SEGA Mega Drive. We are now back in 1988 where Tom Hanks's Big, Rambo 3, Scrooged, Willow, Licensed to Drive with a young Heather Graham, and my top three would have to be They Live,
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman in Rayman,
And then we should jump into the car.
There we can jump out.
I'm an excellent driver.
Yeah, that's good. Come on, come on.
and of course, number one is Bruce Willis in Die Hard. So it's November 1988 and I hear that SEGA are releasing a new console. In fact, it's been out in Japan for over a month. It's called the SEGA Mega Drive. When I heard the name, I went absolutely nuts. What's this console got to offer? Who knows about it? How do I find one? So it was around mid-November and I went to this guy's house who was a massive, massive pirate. Had something like 5,000 or 6,000 discs and his name was Smoking Tony. Had an apartment and there was literally discs from floor to ceiling. It was insane. He had a few new games on the Commodore Amiga and I was telling him that I want to get a SEGA Mega Drive, and has he heard of one or even knows where I could find one? And he happens to say, I know someone who's got one. This is November 1988. Keep that in mind. He said a friend of mine, his name's Andrew, he also copies Amiga games and he's got a SEGA Mega Drive. He imported it from England and they imported it from Japan. You can imagine my face. So Tony rang Andrew and asked if he could pass on his number to me. And he said, no problem, he can call me tonight. So I'll ring up Andrew and I say, how you going? My name's Joel. I'm the one that is friends with Smoking Tony. And I heard you got a SEGA Mega Drive. He goes, yep, I've had it for about a week. It is unbelievable. There's not many games out. And he just starts talking to me about Altered Beast and Super Thunderblade. So after all the questions, I asked Andrew, is there any chance I could come and see it? He said, no problem. Come down tomorrow, anytime after lunch. Here's my address. This is a stage in my life where I was about to get my learners, enabling me to drive, and that was my dream. But I said to my uncle, forget that. I have to see this SEGA Mega Drive. Keep in mind, I was really into cars at that stage too.
Is it in second?
It's in first now.
Oh, could you put it in second, please?
No, I'm going to put it in first to start.
Okay.
Alright, slow down, mate. To your left foot. That's right.
I remember that night I could hardly sleep. You know, there wasn't much information about the Mega Drive. There was a few magazines that it was coming out and all that kind of thing, but there really wasn't much information. So I'll wake up, do my thing in the day, play some Amiga games, and it's around Sunday, around lunchtime, I have my lunch, and my uncle and I drive to his house. I knock on the door and meet this guy, Andrew, and what a guy he was. He's like the nicest guy in the world. We ended up becoming fantastic friends. I'm still friends with him today. So we go into his room, I see it there, I see this Mega Drive, like it's the most beautiful console I've ever seen. I couldn't find words for it. It was amazing. It was the Japanese model with the gold 16-bit and that nice magenta coloring at the bottom. He turns it on, it's Altered Beast, that's it. After playing it for 5 minutes, I was completely sold. I said, Andrew, I want it. Would you sell me yours? He said, no way.
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
He said, do you buy C plus VG, which is computer and video games? I said, sure I do. This is how you have to get it. In this magazine are companies in England that import the SEGA Mega Drive, the Japanese model, and sell it all around the world because over there's heaps of grey imports. So he ordered off a company called Telegames, and that's where I ordered mine. And here's the very ad that I ordered my Sega Mega Drive from this actual magazine and this ad. I've still got this magazine today. So that night, I'll ring up Telegames.
Hello, Telegames. Rebecca speaking.
Oh, hi, my name's Joel. I'm calling from Australia. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, love. How are you?
Good, thanks.
That's good. What can I do for you, Joel?
I would like to order a Japanese Sega Mega Drive.
No problem, love. We've got new stock in from Japan.
That's great. And also maybe a couple of games.
I have Super Thunderblade and Altered Beast.
That's all that was really out at that stage. But wait till you hear this. The cartridges alone were going to cost me $140 to $150 each. And the Sega Mega Drive itself would be near $1,000. 1,000 Australian dollars. So that's like 600, 700 US dollars. Think about it for a minute. This is 1988.
They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people.
So I knew that I had money saved up to buy a car. Forget that, I want a Sega Mega Drive. So the next day I go to the bank with my mum and have to send a telegraphic transfer to England of $1,450 for one console, Sega Mega Drive, and 2 games, including delivery. That is a lot of money for 1988. Who cares? I'm young, why not? And we're talking about Sega Mega Drive here. 3 weeks later, the post office calls. I've got a huge parcel. I go down with my uncle. It's all wrapped up. Obviously the Mega Drive's in it. We go to my grandmother's house because that's where I stayed on the weekends. I open it up and here it is. This is the very Sega Mega Drive that I ordered from 1988. This is by far and away my favourite console of all time, even to this very moment. I remember going to bed at night and plugging my headphones in and just listening to the sound test of Altered Beast and Thunderblade. This is just the ultimate console. But that's nothing because in 1989, that's when this console exploded. Now you can imagine, just for an average gamer, they never even heard of a Sega Mega Drive. And all of a sudden, I was importing games from England every month or so. All my wages would pretty much go to just buying 1 or maybe 2 games. And once I bought Ghouls and Ghosts on the Mega Drive, I knew I was the coolest kid in the world. I had an almost arcade-perfect port of Ghouls and Ghosts. Not only is this my favourite console of all time, but it helped me get into the Japanese importing scene. And believe me, that scene was almost non-existent in 1989. The only problem was importing the games for England were very expensive, and the Mega Drive wasn't even out in Australia. So I knew I had to do something drastic. Get a full-time job.
She'll film while we spin the car.
Oh,
That kind of
is
stuff.
she gonna hold the camera?
Yeah.
Alright, and then... Oh mate, what a day! Thanks.